Hi everyone, it's been a while since I've made a development log, so I decided to make another, since a lot of things have changed since the last time I made a log. Let me start out today by talking about a number of things that have changed that aren't necessarily visible. So the main change that I'm referring to is that I rewrote the game entirely from C into Rust. And I decided to switch over to Rust because I believe that, or rather, I believed when I was switching, it would lead to faster development and just safer and more scalable development over time because the Rust language has features such as memory safety and basically allows you to not have to think about things that you have to be very careful about in C, such as memory leaks, because Rust takes care of this for you automatically in terms of freeing um, resources that you no longer are going to use, outside of the scope of a function. Um, in terms of the changes I've seen with Rust, I believe that this has been useful for me. I think it has sped up my development efforts. Um, the In terms of the actual speed of the program itself, after I've converted it over, I think it's a kind of a mixed bag in terms of how fast the code runs or not. Some aspects of the code run faster in terms of, for instance, the map generation, but other parts, such as just other intern dynamics, are possibly a little bit slower. Anyway, let me start up the game and we can go through some of the other differences. So let me start a new game, and from here you can see that um, the game prompts you now for the size of the map that you want to generate. So this is another major change that I've made to the game, in that I allow for map sizes that are quite large, and in fact multiple times larger than the Earth. And I do this by not storing the entire map in memory all at once. I basically determine the map randomly, but from fixed random seeds. So if I need to access a certain subset of the map, I can just generate it as needed. And then when it's no longer needed, for instance, the player moves to a different portion of the map, I can discard that, delete that data, and only regenerate it again if needed. So let me start with a smaller map so we can just see. So to make it a little interesting, let me start the AI. Right now I have the AI play as all players, just to kind of get a sense of how the game might look if I were playing it right now. Um, so I've made improvements to the city designs, and you can see here the different zones and the buildings coming up as they're generated. Um, one thing that is I found to be pretty useful is that I started naming randomly cities. So, for instance, this city was called Tight Chapel, and let's see. Let's look at another. We'll go into the game log. Um, so here's some of the others, and the names of the civilization and when it founds them. Another thing that I've added is the tech system, so you can research different technologies to allow different units to be constructed. So if I were to research out to modern warfare, I would be able to construct tanks after I researched all the the text leading up to it. Let's see, let's look at how, we kind of get a sense by just looking at this civilization here and looking at the residents. It has gone up and it's still going up, but we can plot this and the other civilizations by going into the population log, and here we see it as time unfolds, how the civilizations are growing. Right now it's not that interesting because the cities just kind of, each civilization just makes one city and it just kind of just grows and then stagnates as it stops. The workers stop zoning new portions or zones. But in the future, I'm planning to basically have the AI generate multiple cities as demand dictates, and start attacking both you and others to make the game a little bit more dynamic, similar to Civilization, which is one main source of inspiration for this game. Aside from attacking, there's other things I'd like to do, such as having more buildings that can be generated by the units so that you can encourage more demand for your city, for more people to move in. So right now, if we look at the plot again, you see the cities kind of stagnate after a while. It's like there isn't enough demand for more residents to move in. So the idea would be, you could build like theaters or parks or so on, similar to SimCity. And then they, it kind of incentivizes more people to move to your civilization or city or what have you. Although the trade-off would be, for instance, you have to pay for these things for your government to support their continued existence of theaters and parks and other nice things. So that's all I really wanted to share today. One last thing I'm doing is reducing the tax rates, so we should hopefully see some additional residents moving in. No, it's actually doing the opposite. They're actually moving out slightly. There's these random effects. If you let the games go out long enough, sometimes you can get dips. We can try to accelerate that by actually, let's try to go in the other direction, unless I broke the aspect of the game that respects the taxes for zoning demand. Let's test it. Let's see if we can get more people to move out. Yeah, now they're really packing up and leaving. Anyhow, like I said, this is about all I wanted to share for today. Stay tuned, and I'll have more updates for everyone as things continue to progress, slowly but surely. Anyhow, thanks.